Christmas Eve had always been Faizan's favorite night. His big mansion sparkled with lights and decorations. Gifts were stacked high under the tall Christmas tree in the living room. But this year, the house felt empty. Faizan sat alone by the fireplace, staring at a small photo of his wife, Aisha. It had been almost a year since she passed away, and the pain was still fresh in his heart. Faizan missed Aisha every moment. The joy of Christmas seemed to have left with her. The laughter, the songs, the celebrations, all of it felt meaningless without her. He sighed deeply and looked around the silent house. The cold wind blew outside and snowflakes gently fell from the sky. It was a peaceful night, but Faizan's heart was heavy with loneliness. Suddenly, a soft knock echoed through the large hall. Faizan was surprised. No one usually came to his door at this late hour, especially on Christmas Eve. Curious and a little cautious, he got up and walked to the door. He opened it slowly. Outside stood two small children, a boy and a girl, twin siblings. They were no more than 8 years old. Their clothes were thin and torn, and their faces were pale from the cold. They shivered as they looked up at Faizan with big, hopeful eyes. "Please, sir," the little girl said softly. "Can you help us?" Faizan's heart tightened as he looked at them. The boy held a small, worn-out bag close to his chest. They looked tired and scared. Faizan could see their lips were chapped from the cold, and their cheeks were red. "Who are you?" Faizan asked, gently, trying not to scare them. "We don't have a home," the boy said. "We have nowhere to go, it's cold and we are hungry." Faizan hesitated. He had a big house, warm beds, and food in plenty. But he had no family now, no children to call his own. Looking at the twins, a strange feeling grew inside him. Something about them was different, something that touched his heart deeply. "Come inside," Faizan said quietly, stepping aside to let them enter. The twins walked in slowly, glancing at the tall Christmas tree and the shining decorations. Faizan closed the door behind them and looked at their small faces again. "Why did you come here?" Faizan asked, still curious. "We don't know where else to go," the girl answered. "Our parents are gone. It's Christmas, and we are alone." Faizan felt his chest tighten even more. He remembered his wife, how she used to smile at Christmas, how she loved children and always made the holiday special for their family. He led the twins to the living room and sat them down on the soft sofa. "Are you hungry?" he asked. The boy nodded shyly. Faizan called the housekeeper and ordered hot food and warm drinks for them. As they waited, Faizan looked closely at the twins. They held hands tightly. Their eyes were full of sadness, but also hope. It was as if they had a secret pain that no one else could see. Faizan thought about his own pain, the loss of Aisha. For the first time in a long time, he felt the desire to protect someone else, to care for others. The food arrived, and the twins ate quietly. Faizan watched them and noticed how their faces slowly relaxed. The warmth of the room and the kindness helped a little. After they finished, the little girl reached into her bag and pulled out a small, old photo. She handed it to Faizan carefully. Faizan took the photo in his hands and gasped. It was a picture of Aisha, smiling brightly. "How do you have this?" he asked, voice shaking. The twins looked at each other, then back at Faizan. "She was kind to us once," the boy whispered. "She promised to help us if we ever needed her." Faizan's mind raced. How could this be? Who were these twins? What was their connection to his late wife? His heart beat faster with questions. He could not answer. The Christmas night suddenly felt full of mystery and hope. Faizan sat back, looking at the twins, and realized that this Christmas might not be so lonely after all. Maybe, just maybe, fate had brought these children to him for a reason. The snow continued to fall softly outside, covering the world in white silence, but inside the mansion, a new story was beginning, a story of hope, love, and unexpected family. What would happen next? Who really were these twins? And what secret did Aisha leave behind? The answers were waiting to be discovered. Faizan sat quietly, still holding the old photo in his hands. The twins watched him nervously. Their story was far from over, and the silence in the room felt heavy. "How did you know my wife?" Faizan finally asked, his voice soft but full of curiosity. The little girl, whose name was Mariam, looked down and said, "She helped us when we were very young. She gave us food, clothes, and hope. She promised to always watch over us." Faizan's heart ached. Aisha was known for her kindness. She had always helped the poor and needy, even when Faizan thought she gave too much. Now he understood why these twins had come to him. "Where have you been all this time?" Faizan asked gently. Mariam's brother, Sami, took a deep breath and told him their story. Their parents had died in an accident, and since then they had no home. They lived on the streets, moving from place to place, trying to survive. "Tried to find someone to help us," Sami said, "but no one would listen. We heard stories about your wife's kindness, so we came here." Faizan felt tears welling up in his eyes. He never imagined Aisha's kindness would leave such a mark, but he also felt guilty. Why hadn't he helped these children sooner? He stood up and looked out the window. The snow was still falling, making the world outside look like a white dream. Inside, the warmth of the fire could not melt the cold feeling in Faizan's heart, the cold of loneliness and regret. "I am sorry," Faizan said softly. "I should have done more." Mariam shook her head. "It's not your fault," she said. "She loved you very much. She always believed you would help us one day." Faizan smiled sadly. "Then I will help you now. I promise." The twins looked at him with wide eyes. This promise gave them hope, a feeling they had not felt in a long time. Faizan spent the rest of the evening asking questions. He wanted to know everything about their lives, their dreams, and their fears. Sami told him how they missed having a family. Mariam said she wished to go to school one day and learn to read and write. Faizan realized how small and fragile their world was. He knew he had to do something. Suddenly the doorbell rang again. Faizan opened the door to see his close friend and lawyer, Mr. Kamran. "Faizan," Kamran said with a smile, "I brought some Christmas gifts for you." Faizan laughed quietly. "Come in. I have some new friends I want you to meet." The twins hid shyly behind Faizan. Kamran's eyes softened as he saw the children. He greeted them warmly and listened to their story. "We can help them," Kamran said. "We can find a way to give them a home and a future." Faizan felt hope growing inside him. Maybe this Christmas was a new beginning. Not only for him, but for these two little souls. Later that night, as the twins slept on warm beds in a guest room, Faizan sat by the fireplace again. He thought about his wife, about the promises she made and the future he wanted to build. The mansion no longer felt empty. The laughter of children would soon fill its halls. The loneliness was slowly fading, but a question still lingered in Faizan's mind. Why did fate bring these twins to him now? What secret was hidden in their past that could change everything? The night deepened and the snow continued to fall silently. Outside, the city was quiet, but inside, a new story of love and hope was just beginning. The next morning, Faizan woke up early. The house was quiet except for the soft footsteps of the twins in the hallway. He smiled as he saw Mariam and Sami heading toward the breakfast table, their faces still tired but hopeful. After breakfast, Faizan decided it was time to learn more about the twins' past. He wanted to understand everything, to know what made them so special to his late wife. He asked Mariam to tell him about Aisha's last days and why she cared so much about them. Mariam's eyes filled with tears as she began her story. "Aisha met us at the orphanage when we were very small," she said. "We were lost, scared, and alone. She came to us one cold winter day. She held our hands and promised we would never be alone again." Faizan listened carefully. He could see how deeply his wife had loved these children. "But," Mariam continued, "not everyone was kind. Some people wanted to take us away. Aisha fought to keep us safe. She took us to her home many times, but her husband, your father, did not like it." Faizan's face grew serious. His father had always been strict and distant. He had never liked Aisha's kindness toward poor people. "She told us she was sorry she could not help more," Mariam said. but she promised that someone good would find us one day. Faizan felt a heavy weight on his chest. He realized his father's harshness had kept him away from his wife's good deeds. He had been too busy with business and family duties to notice the pain around him. He looked at Sammy, who sat quietly beside his sister. "Your parents, what happened to them?" Faizan asked gently. Sammy swallowed hard before speaking. "They died in a fire. We were very young. After that, we were sent to different homes, but none was kind. We ran away and lived on the streets." Faizan felt tears sting his eyes. The same cruel fire that had taken Sammy's parents now haunted his own heart. He took a deep breath. "I want to help you both. I want to give you a new family." Mariam smiled, but her smile was mixed with fear. "Do you think it will be safe? Will people accept us?" Faizan nodded. "I will do everything to protect you." But the twins' story was not finished yet. As Mariam reached into her small bag, she pulled out a worn-out photo. "It's a picture of Aisha," she said softly. "She wanted you to have this." Faizan took the photo, his hands trembling. On the back was a note in his wife's handwriting. "If you find these children, please love them as I do. They are more than just orphans. They are family." Faizan's eyes filled with tears. The note was a final message from his wife, a request he could not ignore. Just then the phone rang. It was an unexpected call from a stranger. "Mr. Faizan Malik?" the voice said. "I am calling about the twins. There is something you need to know." Faizan's heart skipped a beat. He glanced at Mariam and Sammy, whose faces showed confusion and fear. "What is it?" he asked. The caller explained that the twins were connected to a hidden part of Faizan's family past, something no one had told him before. Faizan felt a chill run down his spine. The peaceful Christmas morning was shattered by a shocking secret waiting to be uncovered. He looked at the twins. "We need to be ready for whatever comes next." Mariam held his hand tightly, and Sammy nodded bravely. Faizan knew their lives were about to change forever, and this Christmas Eve was only the beginning. Faizan sat down, still holding the phone tightly. The voice on the other side belonged to an old family lawyer he had never met before. The lawyer said he had important papers and secrets about the twins, and about Faizan's own family. Faizan's mind raced. How could the twins be connected? To his family? What secrets had been kept from him? The lawyer explained that years ago, Faizan's late wife, Aisha, had quietly helped many children in need. Among them were Mariam and Sammy, the twins. But there was more. The lawyer said that the twins were not just orphans. They were actually distant relatives of Faizan, connected through his mother's side of the family. This news shocked Faizan deeply. He had never heard anything about this part of his family. He felt confused and curious at the same time. After the call, Faizan looked at Mariam and Sammy with new eyes. Their story was even more connected to his life than he had imagined. He decided to meet the lawyer and learn everything. The twins stayed by his side, nervous but hopeful. The lawyer's office was quiet and full of old books and papers. He showed Faizan a thick envelope. Inside were documents proving the twins' family ties and their difficult past. Faizan learned that long ago, his grandmother had secretly promised to care for the twins' family. But after she died, the promise was forgotten. That was why the twins had been left alone and struggling. Faizan felt a heavy sadness. His family had forgotten a promise of love and care. He made a decision. He would take responsibility for Mariam and Sami. They would no longer be alone. But before he could act, another surprise waited. The lawyer handed Faizan a letter from Aisha, written before she passed away. In the letter, Aisha explained why she never told Faizan about the twins' true identity. She wanted to protect him and the twins from family conflicts and dangers. But now, she wrote, the truth had to come out. Faizan read the letter slowly, feeling his wife's love and pain in every word. He wiped his eyes and looked at Mariam and Sami. "We will face everything together," he said. "You are family, and I will never let you down." The twins smiled, feeling safe for the first time in a long while. But the past was not finished. Old enemies and family secrets still lurked in the shadows. Faizan knew the road ahead would be hard, but with the twins by his side and his wife's love guiding him, he felt ready to face whatever came next. Faizan's life changed overnight. The twins, Mariam and Sammy, now lived with him in his big mansion. But while the house was full of light and warmth, outside, shadows from the past began to creep closer. Faizan started receiving strange phone calls. At first they were silent, just heavy breathing on the other side. Then he found notes slipped under his door with warnings. "Stay away from the twins," one read. Another said, "Some truths are better hidden." Faizan felt fear, but he refused to give up. He looked at Mariam and Sammy playing in the garden, their faces full of hope and trust. They had lost so much already. He would protect them no matter what. Late one night, as he sat in his study, there was a knock at the door. It was an old man Faizan had never seen before. The man introduced himself as Mr. Qasim, an old friend of Faizan's grandmother. Mr. Qasim warned Faizan that some family members were angry about the twins' return. They feared the secrets the twins held could ruin their reputation and wealth. Faizan listened carefully. The past was full of dark secrets, jealousy, and betrayal. Mr. Qasim handed Faizan a small old box. Inside were letters and photographs showing that Faizan's family had hidden money and land that legally belonged to Mariam and Sami's family. This revelation shocked Faizan deeply. He realized the fight ahead was not just for the twins' safety, but also for their rightful place in the family. Days passed, and tension grew. Faizan noticed strange cars outside his home. Someone was watching them. Mariam and Sami began to ask questions about their family. They wanted to know why their past was full of pain. Faizan promised to tell them everything when the time was right, but he also wanted to keep them safe. One evening, as the twins slept, Faizan stood by the window, looking out at the dark city. He knew powerful people wanted to silence the twins, and him, but Faizan was no longer the lonely man he had been a year ago. He had the strength of love, truth, and family. He whispered to himself, "I will protect Mariam and Sami, no matter what." The battle for their future was about to begin. Faizan knew that the warning signs were not to be ignored. The shadows from the past were closing in fast, but he was determined to uncover the full truth, no matter how painful it might be. One cold morning, Faizan decided to visit the old family lawyer, Mr. Aziz. The lawyer had served the family for decades and knew many secrets. In Mr. Aziz's dusty office, Faizan laid out the letters and photographs from Mr. Qasim. The lawyer's face grew serious as he read through the documents. "Faizan, what you have here is more than just old family disputes," Mr. Aziz said quietly. "Your family has hidden the twins' inheritance for years. This includes money, property, and rights that legally belong to Mariam and Sami." Faizan felt a heavy weight settle on his chest. Why had no one told him before? Why was his own family keeping these secrets? Mr. Aziz handed Faizan a thick folder. It contained legal papers proving the twins' claim. "There's more," Mr. Aziz continued. "Some family members have been involved in shady deals to keep this quiet. If this gets out, it could ruin many reputations." Faizan left the office, with a mixture of anger and sadness. The truth was clear, but the path ahead was dangerous. Back at home, Mariam and Sami sensed Faizan's change. One evening they asked him to tell their story, the story of why they had been separated from their family. Faizan sat with them in the warm living room. He spoke gently about their mother, about the struggles she faced, and how Mariam and Sami had been taken away by forces that wanted to hide the truth. Tears filled their eyes as they listened. They felt both pain and hope. Pain for what was lost and hope for a future where their story would be known. But the danger was real. Faizan knew their enemies would not give up easily. The next day, Faizan received a message on his phone. A photo of Mariam and Sami playing in the garden with a note, "We are watching." Fear gripped Faizan's heart. He realized the family feud was more than just money. It was about control and power. He called Mr. Qasim and Mr. Aziz. Together, they planned a way to protect the twins and bring the truth to light. Faizan also reached out to a trusted journalist friend. He decided the world needed to know the twins' story before the enemies could silence them. The pressure was rising. Faizan spent sleepless nights worrying about Mariam and Sammy's safety. One evening, as he checked on the twins, he found Mariam holding a small locket, a gift from their mother. She whispered, "We will be okay, Faizan, because we have you." Faizan smiled through his tears. Their strength gave him courage. He promised himself that no matter the threats, no matter the pain, he would fight to give Mariam and Sammy the life they deserved, because now they were more than just twins in need. They were his family, and he would protect them with all his heart. The cold winter air still lingered, but inside Faizan's mansion there was warmth, a warmth born from hope, love, and new beginnings. After months of struggle, threats, and painful truths, Faizan had finally managed to protect Mariam and Sammy. The truth about their family, their inheritance, and their past was now known to the world. The twins no longer felt like hidden shadows in Faizan's life. They were his children in every sense, loved, protected, and accepted. On a bright Christmas morning, Faizan woke up early, nervous but excited. Today he planned to take Mariam and Sammy to visit a very special place, their late mother's grave. He wanted the twins to say goodbye properly, to find peace in their hearts. As they arrived at the small, quiet cemetery, the snow gently covered the ground like a soft white blanket. Mariam and Sammy looked at the grave with mixed feelings, sadness, love, and curiosity. Faizan placed a bouquet of white lilies beside the headstone. He knelt down and whispered a prayer for the woman who had suffered so much but loved her children fiercely. Mariam touched the flowers gently and said, "We are so lucky to have found you, Faizan." Sammy nodded, tears shining in his eyes. "We feel safe now." Faizan smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. The long journey of pain and secrets was finally coming to an end. But the story was not just about pain. It was about forgiveness and healing. Back at the mansion, Faizan gathered close friends and family to celebrate a new start. The twins were surrounded by people who cared, who had once doubted but now accepted them fully. Faizan gave a speech, simple but heartfelt. "Life gave us challenges," he said, "but love and truth gave us strength. Mariam and Sammy are part of this family, and together we will build a future filled with hope." The room filled with applause and tears. Later, Mariam and Sammy looked at each other, smiling. "We will never be alone again," Mariam said softly. "No," Sammy agreed. "We have Faizan, and that's all we need." Outside, the sun shone brightly, as if promising that better days were ahead. Faizan knew the road would still have obstacles, but now, he had the courage and the family to face anything. The twins had changed his life forever, and he had changed theirs. Their story, once full of sadness and mystery, was now a story of love, courage, and a new beginning. And the whole world would remember that Christmas Eve, the night when two lost twins found a millionaire who became their guardian, their protector, and their family.